Hey everyone, today me and Mev are going to be ranking the top players in the NBA by these tiers. First one is Devin Booker. I don't think he's God tier, obviously. Is he a superstar?
Yeah, I think with the way Booker's been playing recently, I think you could say.
I wouldn't say he's a superstar though, but it's hard because he's obviously an all-star, but because I feel like him and KD are both the best players on the Suns team. Like I don't think there's like a gap between them. But I do think Kevin Durant's obviously better. Honestly, I'm gonna go by I'm gonna put him in superstar. The players we're gonna put in all-stars are players below him. The next one is gonna be Klay Thompson.
I think at this stage in his career, he's definitely a role player.
I agree. I think Klay Thompson is a role player as well because he literally has one role and that's to shoot the ball. And when it's not going in, he's like kind of useless because everything else in his game really regressed. I'm going to put Klay Thompson as a role player, which is really sad, but you can't be good forever. DeMontis Sabonis, all-star. I think he's 100% all-star. He's definitely not like superstar level, but we all know what we're going to get from Sabonis. Like he's like a certified all-star every single season.
I agree.
And this year he's been really, really good. Even though the West is kind of stacked, I think there's a big chance he'll become an all-star. But I feel like I made a list and I didn't include him because I'm just sick of seeing him in the all-star games. I think the coaches and stuff respect him, so I think he'll make it. Buddy Hield, role player. He's a really good shooter and he's always a reliable three-point shooter like every season. So I'm gonna put him by role player. Even though I think I would definitely take Clay over on my team over him, but I just see both of them as role players.
Same.
Brandon Ingram, what do you think?
I think Brandon Ingram's an all-star.
I disagree.
I think he's having a great
I think
season.
he's a borderline all-star. Honestly, the Pelicans are doing really well. It's tough, but I think that he's not on par with a lot of other all-stars we're going to be putting on that list because I think that DeMontis Sabonis, for example, who's already on the list, I think that I would take him over Ingram like any day. I'm going to do borderline all-star. What about you, Mev?
I'm just gonna agree because we'll probably end up having too many people in the all-star category, and I don't know if he's like right there with them. So
Yeah, we might move him, but I think he's perfect right there. Laurie Markkinen. Honestly, I'm gonna go borderline all star, even though he was an all star last season and he had a great year. But at the same time, he is really good. He averages like 23 points per game, I think, and like really good
no,
efficiency.
I think Laurie Markkinen's an all-star Bulls legend.
Yeah, honestly, you could put him
I
by.
feel like
We'll
he's
put him by all
every
star.
team wants him like so bad to trade for him, and
And the Jazz have
he's
actually
very
been
good.
like overachieving this season, and they've been really good. They've been really hot, winning a lot of their games. He could be an all star, even though he won't make it this year. But he's still an all star level player. Donovan Mitchell. Honestly, if we think Booker's an all star, Donovan Mitchell is also, I mean, a superstar, right?
No, Booker's better than Donovan Mitchell, in my opinion. So
They're like almost as good as each other, if we're being honest. Booker's not like way better. I think Donovan Mitchell is amazing.
I know, but we're just gonna be calling anyone a superstar. Donovan Mitchell's not a superstar. I'm sorry, he's not. I think the cutoff is Booker, and
Then
then
Booker's
nobody
not a
else.
superstar. Then we can move Booker down because I don't think there he's a tier better than Donovan Mitchell. That's not true.
But then we should have like a tier that's borderline superstar because they're both
Then we'd have
more
too
than
many
all stars.
tiers. I don't know, cause like God tier, the only people I'm gonna have in God tier are Jokic and Giannis, in my opinion. So superstar is probably gonna be like Embiid, Tatum, LeBron, Kevin Durant. So honestly, you're right there. There should be another tier. Isaiah Hartenstein. Well, he's starting now, but I think he should be by role player. He's a very, very good role player. And he's been doing great since Mitchell Robinson got hurt. So Dylan Brooks.
I think we can put him there by very good starter because
I agree. I think he does everything for the Rockets that they need. He can do it. Honestly, been having a career year this year, especially efficiency wise, right? And defensively, he's one of the best one on one defenders in the league. So, even though a lot of people like to disagree with that, I think he is really good defensively. So, Mikal Bridges, borderline all star.
yeah, I think so. I mean, he's not having. I thought he was gonna have a better season than he is, but I think you could say that.
Yeah, but he's still been having a very good season. But I think Mikal Bridges is more meant to be like the third best player on a
Yeah, like
team.
you can't
Just
really
like he
have
was
him.
perfect on the Suns and was able to maximize like a lot of parts of his game a lot. But now that he's like being like the first
He's really
guy,
not a first option.
I
You can't
agree.
have him.
We've seen it. He's nasty. He's so good as a third option or third best player on a team or fourth. So yeah, but I think he is a borderline all star just because he has been good this season. Jalen Brunson, one of my favorite players, obviously all star level. He's having an amazing season, honestly. He's like having just as good of a season as Devin Booker and Donovan Mitchell. But obviously, he's not as good as them. So that's why I'm going to put him a tier below. But he's been so good this year. And he's a certified all star. He should start in the all star game, but he won't because of the fan vote. Knicks fans have been disappointing voting. Anthony Simons. He's been balling out this year, actually. I'm gonna say borderline all-star. I think he'll be an all-star one day. Luca.
Luca, he's God tier.
God tier for sure.
Everyone knows that when LeBron retires, we'll have Luca, so it's okay.
Exactly. Keldon Johnson. I'm pretty sure he's been pushed out of the starting lineup, but I still think he's a good player, but
He's probably a role player at this stage in his career.
agreed. Just because of Wemby and Vassell, who are the main guys on that team, even Shohan, he doesn't really have like as big of a role that he had last year. And it's not going to increase unless he increases as a player or gets a lot better. But yeah, as of now, he probably is a role player. Tyrese Maxey.
But I think he's an all-star level player, especially as a second guy. He's having a great season
Yeah,
still.
I think you can put him by all star because he is an all star. The Sixers are the third seed, so they can get two all stars for sure. Scotty Barnes, borderline.
Yeah, I think he's a borderline all-star. I don't think he'll be considered to be
He
an
won't be an all
all-star.
star this year. I know a lot of people are trying to push that agenda, but he's not an all star this year.
I think he's definitely going to be an all-star one year because he gets better and better every
Yeah,
year.
and this year, in
So
my opinion, I feel like he's been kind of inconsistent this year. He's had really good games, but other games like be very, very bad. As an all star, you got to stay consistent and put up numbers every night. And ever since the trade, I feel like RJ Barrett has been the best player on the Raptors because like every game, RJ's had been great every game except he's had one bad game only since that trade. Alperen Sengun. I mean, this is obvious. All star.
he's having an amazing season. The Rockets are see that they're going to start building around him for years to come. Hopefully, he's a star.
And the scary thing is that he gets better every game.
Yeah,
And the things he's doing at his age,
he
like
looks like a
imagine
veteran
5
out
years from
there.
now how good he's going to be.
Like I said, they don't call him Mini Jokic for no reason.
And it's crazy how him and Jalen Green were drafted in the same year, and Sengun ends up being the main guy. Like, imagine the Rockets didn't draft him. Like, that draft would have been a whole failure, to be honest. But they still got like a future superstar out of that draft. They got really lucky there, in my opinion.
Evan Mobley.
Evan Mobley's really underrated. Even though his numbers aren't flashy, I think his defense is one of the best in the league. So I'm gonna say borderline all star because I think that he does provide like all star level impact. So
Yeah, but at
definitely
the same time,
borderline.
how many games has he missed?
I have no idea. But in general, I'm just saying he's a borderline all star. He still has a lot of work to do, but he's getting there.
Yeah, I feel it could be that or very good starter, but yeah, I think he's has a lot of good skill sets, so he could stay there.
Paolo Banchero is obviously an all star.
I low-key want to put him by borderline all-star
What?
because he's the next LeBron, but
What do you mean borderline all star?
oh, I meant I
You
meant
meant borderline
superstar.
superstar? Oh, I
Yeah.
was like so confused for a second.
No, he's definitely an
But
all-star this year.
I agree. He's obviously an all star.
But by
He
next year,
will.
he's gonna be on Booker and
Yeah,
Mitchell's tier.
a lot of people think that he shows like LeBron flashes with his like rim pressure and the way he drives to the basket, his athleticism.
His playmaking, everything.
Even though he does have a lot of work to do by playmaking in general,
That's
but
true, but I think he's on the right path. Like he is still very young, so
yeah, a lot of people don't really mention him when they talk about future best players in the league, but he will be a top 5 player one day. Like I'm actually very, very like positive in that. Who knows? Maybe even top 3.
next we have Jalen Duran.
Jalen Duran is so
I said his
underrated.
name completely wrong. So yeah,
Jalen Duran.
Duran. I meant Duran. I don't know why I said Duran.
I'm gonna say very good starter just because he's still young and he does have a lot of like things that need to be worked on. Just his overall consistency and offensively, I think that he will be really special because he does have a bag, in my opinion. He has a good mid range, and I think his shooting will get better and better, and his defense is already good. Just imagine how good it's
Yeah,
gonna be. Even though he does have like lapses defensively, but that's not really hard to do. I mean, that's not really surprising on the Pistons because there's not much you could do on that team, but there's a lot of things that he's good at and will like maximize on. Like last year he was the youngest player in the league. So he's one of the youngest players in the league. Just watch out in 5 years. Even more than 5 years, he'll still be young.
I know, and he's just gonna get better and better. I think as the years goes
Yeah, and
on.
being in the NBA so young, like you have a head start on a lot of people. Like some people come into the league at like 24 and then become an all-star like 2 years later, but him like he's already getting started and he'll probably be an all-star like in his third, fourth season. Honestly, probably fourth season just cuz there's still some more work that needs to be done, but yeah. Him and Cade will be certified all-stars like every season.
Next we have Darius Garland.
Damn, Darius Garland really doesn't get any hype like he did 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's because of his disaster class in the playoffs last year. A lot of NBA fans don't like to forget
Even though
things.
he like was like arguably probably the best player in that Knicks series from the Cavs. I think everyone on the Cavs,
Yeah.
like Jarrett Allen said, the lights were too bright. I think they all, even Donovan Mitchell, was really disappointing. But I think Darius Garland is like a pure point guard in my opinion. Like I forgot who said this, but someone said that there's no pure point guard. Like Chris Paul was the last pure point guard in the NBA. but that's not true at all. There's a couple
Yeah.
pure point guards, and I think Darius Garland is one of them. I'm gonna say borderline all star because he still puts up the numbers, like scoring wise
Yeah.
and passing. He will always pass first. Obviously, since he's not like one of the best, he still deserves credit, you know. And the Cavs have been good this year, so and they're really hot. I'm pretty sure they've like been winning all their games recently.
We have Zion Williamson.
Zion's been disappointing this year, but he's still an all-star level player, if we're being honest. I don't think he's better than anyone in that all-star tier.
Yeah, I feel like I'm kind of disappointed. It's one of his only like not non-injury seasons. The Pelicans have a lot of good guys on the team. It's not like heliocentric offense where it's all running around Zion.
But at
It's
the
like a
same
lot of
time,
different guys.
yeah, but at
So
the same time, I do think he's better than Tyrese Maxey. Maybe not this season, just because I think Zion still has a lot of work to do, especially with getting back into shape. He was injured, missed all of last season, right?
yeah,
And it does take a lot to get back into shape, especially when you're injured. And I think he'll do that, but at this moment, he's still an all-star.
yeah, he's definitely still an
Yeah, I
all-star.
think he's an all-star, even though he still needs to like just get better in my opinion because he is like the most laughed at player in the NBA right now, like star. And it has a lot to do with his shape because people think all NBA players should be like Giannis's body type, which is like not possible because Giannis is like a Greek god, literally a Greek god. But the things he's still able to do with his size, and I'm still waiting on what year was that where Zion was like his best season. He went like absolutely crazy.
I'm not sure what year.
It was like 2 or 3 years ago, I
He
think.
also had to deal with a lot of injuries, so
Yeah, and I think as soon as he gets over the hump, he could even be borderline superstar because we've
he has
se-
that potential for
he
sure.
literally was a borderline he literally was a superstar at one point. And it wasn't that long ago and he had to deal with injuries, so I think he'll get back to that. But at this point he's just an all-star.
Now we have Russell Westbrook, definitely a role player at this stage in
Agree.
his career.
Even though he still is a good role player. A lot of people were trying to say he is not cut out for the NBA anymore and he should like not
Score
be in the league
150 points
anymore.
on. He still shows signs of his
And
like old athleticism. He knows his role now, I think.
that's why the Clippers are able to be so good this year because he is that driving force off the bench that's needed.
Yeah.
And Norman Powell's a scorer off the bench, but Russell Westbrook is the do everything guy off the bench. And the Clippers are actually like making it work and they look a lot different, especially after acquiring James Harden. They took a couple games, like 10 games to like gel together and get that chemistry, but ever since then they have not been losing games.
Yeah, I'm really high on the Clippers this year, so I think they have a good all around team. So we'll just have to see.
And I have never ever said the Clippers were title contenders. Like I've never ever thought even when they got Kawhi and PG, I did not think that they could win a championship. I never thought it until now. Really think right now I think that the Clippers have a huge chance to win a championship. Like I finally see it and I'm happy for them.
We have Brooke Lopez.
Very good starter.
Yeah, he's getting a little old, but
He's still leading the league in blocks, I think, unless Victor passed him, but he's one or two in blocks per game. Even though I do think he's an overrated defender, I think he has a lot of blocks. That doesn't mean you're a good defender, in my opinion.
mhm.
Because I think when he's not blocking, people are still scoring on him easily. But he's still a very good 3 point shooter, and on both ends, I think he will show up, but he's still an overrated defender, in my opinion. Let me know what you guys think about that. DeMar DeRozan.
I'm gonna say borderline. He's on my team. I love Demar, but a lot of the time I get really frustrated with him.
I think we need to talk about how DeMar
Yeah.
DeRozan has been an all-star level player for like his whole career almost.
Yeah, nobody talks about his longevity, and he is getting old. We were having a lot of other guys on the team that I'd rather have the ball. I think he's still a really good player. I don't think he's gonna be an all star again, so I think I'd say borderline all
I
star.
think he's a borderline all-star just because he's too good to be considered like just a starter, like on an NBA team, in my opinion. Kyrie Irving.
I think he's a borderline superstar. Kyrie Irving's been putting
He
up
is not a
crazy.
borderline superstar.
Hana, he's been playing so good.
He has not been better than Jalen Brunson, Bankero, Sengun. He's been very good this year, but he's not really like that superstar impact player. He is that second fiddle. He is that second fiddle, and he can show up more than like most players in the NBA when it matters most. But just because I think his numbers aren't really superstar level, in my opinion, he averages like 23 points per game, like 6 assists, I think. But I still think Kyrie Irving's a great player, but if he was like superstar level, I think him and Luca would like win it all. But he has gotten older, and I think his
Borderline.
play is not really like as unstoppable or lethal like it used to be. So that's why I think he's still an all-star, but I don't think he's like on the same level as like Donovan
No,
Mitchell.
because Kyrie's literally averaging 25 points per game,
Yeah, but
5
so is
rebounds, 5
everyone
assists.
there. Like Booker is averaging like 27, I think, or 26 and 8 assists. Donovan Mitchell's averaging like 28.
At the end of the day, I think I'd rather trust Kyrie than Donovan Mitchell or Booker. Like I think Kyrie's still a better player than them.
I mean, I guess.
Because at the same time, like Kyrie does share the ball with Luca, but he still ends up putting up great numbers, and they win games together. So
I guess you're right, but offensively, obviously, Kyrie Irving is one of the best players offensively.
yeah, so I think we should put him at borderline superstar.
I don't agree with you, but you could just put him there. Jimmy Butler. Boy, let me tell you, obviously, we all know what we're going to get from Jimmy Butler in the regular season. That picture of him still makes me die of laughter.
I can't take him seriously,
He
bro.
is so unserious as a basketball player. Just in general, like we all know in the regular season, he's not going to put up like his Bucks first round stats. But he's going to do that once the playoffs start. I think that he's a borderline superstar just because I feel like not many people can improve their game like from the regular season to the playoffs like he does. What do you think?
I think so too. I don't think Jimmy like tries as hard in the regular season because you already know he's been to the finals more times than a lot of people, which is a crazy accomplishment. And he does what he needs to do. He's a winning player. He looks like prime
Exactly.
MJ sometimes, like
And
sometimes.
exactly, and players literally get terrified to play Jimmy Butler in the playoffs for a reason. So I think you can't put someone like that so low in the tier. Like it doesn't make any sense. So yeah, I think he's a borderline superstar. Boyan Bogdanovic, very good starter, very good starter. Does not belong on the Pistons.
He definitely belong. It's funny seeing good role players on lottery teams. Like, bro should be on a good
Older like
team,
vets too. Like
but
I don't like seeing it. I think that he should be on a contender because he would be like such a great piece to a contender that would literally push them over the edge to like a championship. I
mhm.
think if you add him to like the Mavericks, for example, I think the Mavericks can win it all.
Or even the Lakers, like
If you
a
add him to the
shooter.
Heat, I think the Heat can make the finals again. If you add him to the Lakers, I think the Lakers can win it all. If you add him to the Warriors can go far in the playoffs because they need another great scorer. His basketball IQ is just off the charts. I think that he's just a very polished player, and I want him off the Pistons and onto a contender. But
Same.
his price is like too high, but for good reason. CJ McCollum,
I'm
very
pretty
good
sure he's having
starter.
yeah, he's having a really good year. Like he's even a borderline all star if you think about it. This man
Nah,
has had I don't know how many straight seasons of 20 plus points per game. That's crazy for someone who's never been an all star before in his career.
he's gotten
CJ,
snubbed. If we're being honest, CJ
yeah,
McCollum is probably the best player to, or one of them to never be an all star. He's had so many great seasons on the Pelicans, not on the Pelicans, I'm sorry, on the Trailblazers with Damian Lillard. Honestly, he has put up great numbers, but never like that crazy numbers to become an all star, just because the West has always been stacked with talent. But if he was in the East, he even said it himself, I'm pretty sure. If he was in the East, he'd probably have like 2 or 3 All Star selections by now. Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert is actually one of my favorite players because I don't think he gets the respect he deserves. But I think he finally is now this season. Like, I seriously think he is getting like a lot of respect this season.
definitely. I think everyone as a collective whole is starting to agree that he is the best defender in the league because a lot of people didn't want to say it.
They're
And a lot of
doing.
people do think he deserves to be an all star too, because a lot of people did not
Agreed.
think so, including me.
He is an all star,
Um,
period. I think people are finally giving Rudy Gobert respect because now they're seeing that there's a pattern with Rudy Gobert. He will be on a team. That team will be the number one or top five defense, usually number one defense. They'll make excuses, whatever he can't guard the perimeter, whatever. Okay, if he can, then how come his defenses that he is anchors always do the best?
like you said, Timberwolves are the first seed, and I think that's mostly because of him.
Exactly. Like his defense just transforms the team and he makes everyone around him better. He just makes everyone around him better defenders as well. So I think that he's an all-star just because of his all-star impact defensively. And he's probably going to win another defensive player of the year, which is crazy. This is random. Dario Saric.
Yeah, I think he's the definition of a role player.
Yeah, he's a role player. I don't know why he's on here. Even though he's like probably the only like help Curry is getting, but Saric is definitely a role player.
We have here Kristaps Porzingis.
Kristaps Porzingis. Obviously, Kristaps Porzingis is like obviously the second best player on the Celtics. You can argue he's the most consistent player on the Celtics. He always shows up, especially on both ends. He is so unguardable. He is a unicorn for a reason. I miss him on the Knicks. I'm gonna be straight up. I miss him, which is why I have so much anger towards him a lot of the time because of the way he left. I think he's a all star, obviously.
Shea Gilgis Alexander. This is a
Superstar?
tough one.
I'm gonna say superstar.
This is a tough one because a lot of people won't agree with him being better than like Booker. Booker is definitely like his closest
Shea is
competition.
definitely better. I'm sorry.
Even like a lot of people don't respect his game, like I do. But like Anthony Edwards said something the other day, like you can't even touch him, like he's gonna go to the line. Like
I mean, he wasn't lying there because Shea
like
can't
I
does
really
get a
don't respect
superstar
foul.
whistle.
Yeah, because everyone knows From all the guards in the league, Shea gets the basket the most, gets the most free throws, but he also does actually his rim pressure is there. Like he'll get to the rim whenever he.
To stop you there, I think De'Aaron Fox has the best rim pressure, doesn't get as many free throws as Shea.
I mean, you could say that. But, I mean, you can't say he doesn't get fouled because he does get fouled. They just get mad that they get called. You know.
Yeah, honestly, but at the same time, it's so hard to play defense in the NBA anymore just because everything gets called a foul. There's no consistency with the calls. The refs do pick and choose when to call a foul. So that's why I feel like I get their frustration with Shea, but
But
he's
Shea,
still
but he
gifted as
is,
hell.
yeah, Shea is definitely having a better season than Booker. So I think Shea is the superstar,
I agree.
and I feel like we're gonna get heat for not saying Booker isn't a superstar.
I don't think
But
we are. People hate Devin Booker. It's actually funny.
Jordan Clarkson,
Very good starter. He starts, right?
yeah,
If he doesn't, whatever, but I like Jordan Clarkson, but that efficiency is like stinky as hell. One of the most inefficient players in the league, but he's still very, very good. He's also a big reason why the Jazz are winning games because I really thought they weren't going to win shit. He's clutch. I feel like he always hits a big shot. So I think he's a very good starter. I wouldn't put him anywhere above that. No way.
and next we have LeBron James.
Superstar, duh. As long as LeBron is in the league, he will be a superstar. When it comes to the playoffs, there's only three players I trust more than LeBron James. So there's absolutely no chance this man can't be a superstar. He can turn up
I'm
at any
sorry, but
point.
there's not a single player I trust more than LeBron James. As a 38-year-old, he was literally carrying his team to the Western Conference Finals last year.
The only players I'm taking over LeBron in the playoffs in 2024, even though keep in mind he is 39 years old, is Nikola Jokic and Luka Doncic. Doncic, sorry, people hate the way I say his name.
Doncic.
I'm sorry. Luka, Jokic, and Kawhi, to be honest. Those are the only players I'm taking over LeBron in the
Okay, I wouldn't
playoffs.
say Kawhi because Kawhi hasn't had a good playoff series in a long time. LeBron had one last year. You
I
can move
guess you're
on.
kind of right. Is a superstar someone who you can always count on to show up, and LeBron is that guy. Zach LaVine.
I think he's still an all-star level player. He came back from injury and he's putting up good stats and helping the Bulls win
He is
games.
not an all-star. He's a borderline all-star.
He's an all-star.
No, he is a
Maybe not
borderline
this
all-star.
year, but he's an all-star.
Zach LaVine is a borderline all-star for sure. He is
I
not even.
disagree.
He is not better than anyone or close to anyone in the all-star tier.
This is such a bad season for him, and just because of how much everyone's hating on him, I can't wait for him to come back next season and prove all the haters wrong.
No, I'm not even a hater, but he is not on their level.
Yes, he is. He's
No,
better.
he's not.
He's better than every single person in this borderline all-star category.
No, I think he's on the same level as like all
Well,
those
he's better
guys.
than every single person in that. But okay.
Tyus Jones, a very good starter. I think Tyus Jones also I don't like seeing him on the Wizards. I think he can make a bigger impact elsewhere. Karl Anthony Towns, all-star. Or borderline, which one? Borderline, right? He actually
I
does put
wouldn't
up
say
like
he's an
really good.
all-star.
No, I'd say borderline all-star just because I don't think he's going to make it. He is very good offensively, and he's one of the best shooters, big man shooters in the league right now. But yeah, I don't think he's on their level anyone in the all-star thing. Steph Curry.
Superstar. He just like LeBron, Steph is always going to be a superstar as long as he's in the league.
Facts.
So
Unless we see like a true decline, they're superstars. Franz Wagner, borderline all-star. He's been very, very good this season, and he's also the second biggest reason why the Magic are overperforming and they've been beating like a lot of the breaks off of teams. So I think Franz Wagner is going to be an all-star very soon. Like he could literally be one next season because that's how good he's been. So I think he's definitely a borderline all-star. Jalen Green. We need to have a conversation about this man.
he just like hasn't been improving like everyone thought he would. Like everyone thought he was like the next shooting guard, you know. They drafted him after they lost James Harden obviously, and they thought he was like the next James Harden, but no. So yeah, I'd say role player.
Yeah, it's just hard because like some people were even saying on Twitter they were all fed up with Jalen Green. He's very inconsistent, very inefficient. I saw a video. It was like Jalen Green has the worst shot selection in the NBA, and it was just a highlight reel of bad shots. That made absolutely no sense. Like, why would he shoot those? Yeah, he has so much work to do. I think that
Do we put him in disappointing then? Because we don't have anyone in there, and like maybe he's a little disappointing.
he definitely is disappointing, but I don't think he's worse than it. Like a lot of people, we'll just leave that for like the very, very bad players that show up here. Even though I don't think any of the players here that are listed here are bad, so it'll probably be empty that one. Yeah, I think Jalen Green he is very disappointing this year. We all expected him to break out by now, even though I think it's still coming. It's very like it's like going at a snail pace, but I think it's coming. Even though it's gonna be very hard for him to break out now, just because the Rockets are in a win now position. Yeah, they're not really waiting on Jalen Green anymore. Who knows? They might even trade him eventually or very soon if they don't see him like getting better or at all. So I see it happening. Dejounte Murray. I just want to know why teams are trying so hard to get this guy. Like, why is he so special? Like, where you're gonna gut your team for what or give him multiple first round picks?
I don't know. Someone said like you hold on to that reputation of being a good 3-and-D player your whole career, and that's what people are saying about him. Even though I still think he's a good player. I don't know, I just feel like, is it worth for, like, say, the Lakers to get rid of
No,
what
don't
they
get me
have for
wrong.
him?
When this man was on the Spurs, I thought he was a great player and he deserved that all-star spot. His defense was special. Like he would like lock down. But then it just like kind of like disappeared. I think that defense is still there and he probably still has the lateral quickness to defend like that. But I feel like he's so focused now on becoming a star where he doesn't care about the defensive end. He just wants to score and score and score. He should go back to being that Spurs DeJounte Murray. That's obviously probably an improved scorer, but can defend. But I'm gonna say he's a very good starter because he's still a good player, but at the same time he is putting up like 20 points per
He's a
game.
borderline all-star, bro.
I,
What
I
the
don't
fuck you talking
I do
about?
not think
Very
he's a
good starter.
borderline all-star.
Put him in the borderline all-star. He's still putting up good numbers. He is a borderline all-star. Come on. Now you're dragging it. Malik Monk.
Very good starter. I could go on and on about Malik Monk. There's a very good chance he'll win Sixth Man of the Year. He will always show up for the Kings. His scoring is lethal, even his playmaking. So I think he's a very good starter. Desmond Bain, borderline all star for sure. This man's averaging like 25 points per game. Like, come on. No one likes to talk about him, but he is very good. He's actually a bright spot on the Grizzlies this year. I know the Grizzlies aren't doing shit this year. John Morant's out for the rest of the year, but at least like you have some hope because you see how good Desmond Bain is becoming, right?
Austin Reeves.
Very good starter.
Yeah, he's a very good starter.
Even though I don't think he starts anymore.
Yeah, but even if, like, he's still better than the role players.
Yeah, I think he's better than a role player. I think he's like an above average role player. Devin Vassell.
Very good starter.
Very good starter. I think he really does have all-star potential. And playing with Victor, who knows? I think they're both gonna like grow up together, even though Vassell's been in the league for like a couple years. But I think scoring-wise, he looks very special sometimes. Like he shows sparks of like future all-star. So I like it. I like his position there, but I think he'll become an all-star one day. Kobe White.
Kobe White's an all-star.
Shut up.
I'm dead ass.
Should we put him at borderline all-star?
Yeah, I'd say borderline all-star. Kobe White's having an amazing
But what if?
year.
But at the same time, there's not much to go off of. This is a very small sample size.
It's not a small sample size. He's been doing this for like 20 straight games. I don't care.
Like, what if it's a fluke and we have him in borderline all star?
It's not a fluke.
What if it's a fluke? Like, I want like a whole season of this where I could see, but. I guess if this is mainly for this season, we could say he's a borderline all-star because
It's this season.
he has been putting up great numbers. So we could say Kobe White's a borderline all-star. If there was like a section between borderline all-star and very good starter, I'd put him right there. But we could just leave him by borderline all-star because I know the Bulls fans are like putting up a whole like
because he deserves to be an all-star this year.
Lou Dort, role player. Yeah, I'm gonna say Lou Dort's a very good role player.
He could be a very good starter. The Thunder are nothing without him.
Yeah, but I don't think he's as good as anyone in that very good starter thing. So I think he's a role player.
Cam Thomas,
very good starter. Just because he's so inconsistent. I think and he missed a lot of games. I think if he played a lot more and the scoring like stayed like at the same rate, he'd be a borderline all-star. Just because at like a flip of a switch, like he'll drop 40 points easily. But it's kind of scary because if we see that Cam Thomas all the time, like he's literally a superstar. If he can do that all the time.
Walker Kessler.
This man doesn't even start anymore. I think he's a very, very good role player just because he can defend, but that's pretty much it.
He was looking really good last year though, like as a rookie. He was like, did he make an all rookie first team or yeah?
It's just hard because they traded for John Collins in the offseason. John Collins has been kind of disappointing, but it takes away like minutes from Walker Kessler. Anthony Edwards. I think Anthony Edwards is an all-star. Or does he go by borderline superstar? Put Anthony Edwards by borderline superstar.
I don't think he's close to being as good as Booker. I don't care. Like everyone just gave him this.
I think he's a high-level all-star. Literally just one more season until he completely breaks out and enters his MVP like level like trend throughout his career. So I think he's very close to being a superstar.
Bogdanovich.
Even though he does come off the bench, I think he's a very good starter. He averages like a very efficient 17 points per game. He's very reliable for the Hawks and he shoots like nearly 40% from 3. This man has been a very reliable 3-point shooter throughout almost his whole career. When you're playing a team that he's on, he's definitely going to hit a 3. Just count on it. There's a good chance he'll win Sixth Man of the Year as well.
Shaden Sharp.
I think he's a very good starter. Can you change very good starter to, can you add / bench player?
I guess Shaden can go there.
Yeah, I think he's shown flashes of being a very good player one day. And I think he does put up numbers like, obviously it's not hard to on the Blazers because they're like kind of bad, but I think he's a good player. Why is RJ Barrett in a Canada jersey and his head's cut off? But guys, that's RJ Barrett, obviously. Honestly, I think we should move Kobe White, bro.
No, Kobe White is having a better season. Don't even get me. Don't
Not
piss me
just this
off.
season,
Don't
but
piss me off.
it's a very small sample size. RJ Barrett
It's not a very small
Yes,
sample
it
size. It's been like
is.
20 games. What do you want? And we're literally sitting at the 9th seed because of Kobe White. Shut up. I don't want to hear you.
You just said the 9th seed.
Yeah, that's
we're,
good.
like
We were projected to be in the lottery this year. I don't want to hear you. We're in the plan right now. We're gonna go. We're gonna be in the
no.
playoffs.
Kobe White is a fluke.
Never
Anyways,
say that again.
are you okay?
Ow! I hit the book.
That's what you get. Just say very good starter.
No. That's good. That whole category is gonna lose its meaning if he's there. So
Do you want to get hurt again?
No, come on, be serious. He's a very good starter.
Fine, just move RJ, but all you haters will see.
Going off this year, he's not even considering. Nobody's considering him to be an all-star at all. So
I don't care.
Cry.
He's been like an all-star on the Raptors so far.
That's a small sample size here.
Listen,
3 games on the Raptors.
3 games. Are you okay? It's been like 11 games,
Okay,
dumbass.
Not 11 games. A couple games.
And second of all,
And then he sucked.
you see what he's doing without Julius Randle taking 25 shots a game.
I don't care.
You'll continue to see it, and then he will
No,
get
and
moved up. Hey,
Trae Young.
borderline? He's definitely a borderline superstar.
He's
Actually,
having a
no,
crazy
no,
great year.
no. He's an all-star.
He's a borderline superstar.
No. He's an all-star. Come on.
Why do you think he's an all-star?
Just because I think all those players are better than him, and
But he's very close to Anthony Edwards.
I don't think he's better than Jalen Brunson.
He's better than Jalen Brunson.
They're like the same level.
I'm taking Trae Young over.
Jalen Brunson's like 30 times more efficient than him, bro, and actually can win games.
Been efficient this career. Trae Young takes harder shots. Trae Young is a better playmaker.
He's not efficient this year, bro. He's only efficient from 3 because but the field goal percentage is like one of the worst by all the superstars. I think it's the worst by all the superstars. He's not more clutch. Are you on drugs? People are holding on to that bubble playoffs like the lottery or some shit. He hasn't done shit since then.
You're such a hypocrite.
Trae Young has not done shit since the bubble playoffs, bro. Leave him by all-star.
Tyler Hero.
I mean, if we're going off this season, I guess very good starter. He's barely played. He gets injured a lot, but he's a very good shooter. Aaron Gordon, very good starter. He's like a very, very good role player. He bounces off Jokic so well. They have such a great 2-man game, pick and roll, everything. Like, they can do everything. He's a good defender. He always shows up. So I think he's a very good starter.
Not gonna argue with you there, so.
Giannis is god tier. I don't think we need to explain more there. Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray is like a very confusing player. In the regular season, he will be like not mid, but like not nearly as good as he is in the playoffs. We've seen what he's done in the playoffs, so we gotta go off that. So I'm gonna say he's an all-star. Derek Lively, role player. Even though I think he's a very good starter, though.
He's a very good starter.
No, cause I don't think he is yet.
Big piece to the Mavs' success, like, and going to continue to be.
Mev, I think he's like straight up role player, bro. I'm gonna say Derek Lively is a role player, even though he's been like one of the best rookies, but he's still got a lot of work to do, in my opinion.
De'Aaron Fox,
borderline superstar. He's been amazing this year.
Agreed.
He always shows up. He's like always clutch. Could win clutch man of the year again. Scoring wise, he's unstoppable. No one could guard that man, especially like when he's like racing towards the basket. He's so fast. He's very efficient. So De'Aaron Fox is definitely a borderline superstar. I don't think he will ever surpass that, but the fact that he could still be considered a borderline superstar is so great credit.
Jordan Poole. This is tough because I really want to put him in the last tier. What do you say, Hanny?
The thing is, he's like not even a role player because he creates his own role every game. But he has been bad. Should we just put him at the role player section or no?
He's worse than the role players. Jordan Poole's in the last tier. I'm sorry to say it.
Okay, I don't think he's that bad, but I guess he's probably the worst. He's probably the worst. He's
not
the worst.
as good as anyone in the role player category.
I'm not gonna lie to you, Jordan Poole.
Why are you putting your hands around me?
I'm not gonna lie to you, Jordan Poole.
You just abused me, and now you want to put your hands around me?
Let me speak. Jordan Poole has the worst plus minus in the NBA by far. It's like negative 300 something. So I guess I agree with Mev. He can be disappointing because he is disappointing. Chet Holmgren.
I want to put this kid in the God category, bro. I'm kidding. But
honestly, let's say borderline all-star. I think he's a borderline all-star. When I see him play, he can literally be an all-star this year sometimes. Like, come on. The Thunder got such a good one.
Cole Anthony.
Honestly, his scoring has been really good, but I'm going to put him by a role player, even though he has been really good scoring-wise. And he helps out the Magic a lot, so I think he's a really good role player. A lot of these people in the role player section, that does not mean they're not good players, that they have one role and they're good at their role, period. Bradley Beal.
I think you could say borderline all-star because...
Yeah, we're going to say borderline all-star for Bradley Beal.
He hasn't played many games, but
when he plays, he's like a walking 20 points.
Yeah.
So I think he's definitely a borderline all-star. He's not really putting up all-star numbers. I think if he stays healthy, the Suns will be scary.
Tyrese Halliburton.
Borderline superstar.
I agree. It depends how far the Pacers get in the playoffs this year.
I
But
don't
for
really care
personally,
about the playoffs, to be honest. This man is a passing machine, best passer in the league. He makes his teammates better. I love players that make their teammates better. His efficiency is very good. Like, he's like a perfect offensive player. So he will be a superstar like by next year, if we're being honest.
LaMelo Ball.
All star?
Yeah, it just sucks. Injuries and stuff. Like, he's always doing good and then he gets hurt.
But
He's
I still
definitely
think he's an all-star level player. We're not just gonna put like straight up all-stars that are gonna be named to the all-star game. Like players who are all-star level will be in this tier. And I think LaMelo Ball, despite being on the laughing stock of a team, I think he is an all-star. He's very gifted as a scorer, and he's a very good passer as well. And he needs help.
John Morant. I think John Morant's a borderline superstar.
Agreed.
Saw what he did when he come back.
The Grizzlies are winning almost every game. Everyone's hope just like went up that the Grizzlies could still make the playoffs. But then it all vanished as soon as he got hurt again. But he's a lethal scorer. And every time John Morant does play, the Grizzlies will always be like a top 3 seed. Like that's how good he is. He will act like any game is like the NBA finals. Like he will put his whole heart in the game. And that's why I love John Morant.
Next, we have Jaren Jackson Jr.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Jaren Jackson Jr. is our borderline all star. He does it all, to be honest, on both ends. Even though he is kind of inconsistent, I think he's still very good defensively. He won Defensive Player of the Year last year. Cade
You can't put him
Cunningham,
lower than that. Cunningham, he's an all-star.
borderline all star.
I think he's like an all-star level talent. Like, he was putting up such good numbers
I think that's kind of
before.
stretching it because I still need to see more from him because even though he's on a bad team, I still think they should be winning more games because even though it is a dumpster fire, you can't really blame him. But I don't think he's on the same level as those other all stars that we have there. Like I cannot put him in the same tier as Sabonis or Brunson or Banchero. So that's why I think that Cade is a borderline all star.
Okay, that makes sense. We have Damian Lillard.
If you put Kyrie in borderline superstar, Dame is a borderline superstar because I think Dame is a better player than Kyrie.
I think they're both very close, and I think they're both borderline superstars. They've been superstars in their career, took a little step back.
I also think that Dame, even though I think Dame is getting better and better as the games go on, even though he was like shooting tour dates a little bit for a little bit, I still think that talent wise, he's a top 3 point guard. He's one of the best shooters in the league right now. He's slowly becoming himself again. So that's why I feel like he is a borderline superstar.
We got Julius Randle.
All star. He's been playing like an all star this year. We're not only counting on Brunson because Randall is also stepping up every game. And that's why the Knicks have been winning games.
Yeah, he's definitely an all-star. I'm not gonna argue with you there.
Jokic, obviously, God tier.
Can you put Jokic in the top of the god tier?
Yeah,
Oh,
he's the best player in the league, so he deserves to be number one. Jason Tatum, superstar?
Jason Tatum's. I think he's a superstar.
Yeah, I think Jason Tatum's a superstar. He puts up the numbers, he leads the Celtics, and the Celtics are the best team in the league right now. They have barely lost a game because Jason Tatum is just a powerhouse. No one could guard him. Honestly, if you see a bad game from Jason Tatum, it's all on his own. He guards himself. He will miss shots that are like wide open, that like no one's even guarding him. Like it's based on him if he's gonna have a good game or a bad game.
Kawhi Leonard. This is tough.
Borderline superstar.
Yeah, because I feel like he's getting old, and like we need to see him for the rest of the season to see if he's.
Yeah, I think Kawhi Leonard is obviously still one of the best players in the league, and a lot of people still say that Kawhi at his best is a top 5 player in the league. But a lot of the times we don't really see him at his best because obviously injuries are a huge part of that. And I think that he can raise his game a lot when it matters most. So that's why I feel like in the playoffs, I take Kawhi Leonard over a lot of guys, but I don't think he's as good as like Shea right now, or Tatum, or Curry, or anyone above him. And obviously
Yeah.
injuries have played a big part of that. So I'm gonna say borderline superstar for Kawhi.
Kevin Durant. Not even gonna talk much about
Superstar.
him. He's definitely a superstar.
Kevin Durant's definitely a superstar.
35 and still balling, carrying his team sometimes. So next we have Kyle Kuzma.
I think Kyle Kuzma's good, but he's not really a borderline superstar, borderline all-star though.
No, he's a very good starter.
Yeah, I think Kyle Kuzma's a very good starter. I think he's a very good scorer. That's why when he was on the Lakers, he like thrived. Obviously, the Wizards signed
He's
him.
a very good starter.
The Wizards signed him good money because they want at least like a good player on their team, but he was literally the third best player on a championship team. Like still a very good player, and I think he's underrated.
Next we have Miles Turner.
Miles Turner has been balling this year, like seriously. I'm gonna say very good starter for Miles Turner just because I feel like I would never consider him an all-star level player, but he's still very good where like he impacts the Pacers a lot. So I think he's a very good starter.
Bam Adebayo.
Bam is an all-star. I feel like he'll get snubbed this year, but I think he's had a really great season. His scoring gets better every year, and his defense gets overlooked, but he is arguably like a top 3 defender in the league.
And he's like always consistent. He's a consistent player every single game. I rarely see Bam have a bad
He's
game.
very consistent. Like Mev said, it's rare to see him have a bad game.
Bam is definitely an all-star. Then we have Joel Embiid.
Joel Embiid is shit. Should we do God tier? I'm gonna do God
We can't
tier
have a
because he is way better than Shea. I'm not putting him in the same tier as Shea. Okay, next one is
Pascal Siakam.
this is tough because I think Pascal Siakam is an all-star, but I guess I have to see more with the Pacers to see if like he's still like a full-on all-star. Let's leave him at borderline all-star, but I think that he could be more than that. Brandon Miller, I'm gonna say very good starter. I think he'll be really good in the future, but
I want to say very good starter. The Hornets stink.
he's still a good player, and I think he's been one of the best rookies. Yeah, I'm gonna say he's a very good starter. Damn, DeAndre Ayton is kind of disappointing, man. But he does put up solid numbers. He will always have that reputation of being the first pick that didn't pan out and didn't become an all-star, you know, or a superstar. If you're the first overall pick in the NBA, you should become a superstar at one point of your career. And I don't think DeAndre Ayton will ever become an all-star. I think his best chance was on the Suns when the Suns were making the playoffs every year and stuff like that. But I don't ever see it happening, and like he's a bust if we're being honest.
Wemby.
If we put Chet by borderline all-star, we have to put Wemby as well. I think Wemby has been better. At first, Chet was better, but Wemby gets better and better every game. Like he's literally finding his home here, and he's a blocking machine. He will block everything in his path. He is a whole on monster, like a whole ass monster Slender Man on the court, and it's really hard to guard him or score on him. Like you can't do either.
Wemby is definitely a borderline all star.
Like he even puts up all-star numbers. We're just gonna put him on borderline for now, but like he's very good. He is the best rookie. I don't think there's really debate anymore with him and Chet. I think Wemby is better. Harden. Harden deserves apologies.
I never once slammed Harden. I defended Harden.
Remember that one guy? I forgot his name.
That
He
one
was
reporter who
he
said
was
that
completely
nasty.
trashing James
Yeah.
Harden over for like 5 straight minutes.
Oh.
The Clippers have barely lost any of their games. Their last 30 games, they've won most of them. They've won. I think they only lost like 3 games out of the last 30 games or something like that.
If there's a Harden documentary and then the Clippers end up winning, that clip is going in it, like, because that
Exactly.
was
Harden
harsh,
has been
bro.
so good this year. Do you think he's an all-star though?
Hell yeah.
I don't know about that. I think he's a borderline all-star.
Harden, can you put him in the All Star category?
If he's not an all-star, now
Yes,
you're
he
stretching
is.
it.
He's an All Star.
He's a very good player, but I think he's a borderline all-star.
You put Harden in the All Star. Can you stop, please? Like we're gonna.
Why are you acting like why are you acting like he's averaging like 25 points per game now?
Okay, because that's not his role.
He's been a really good facilitator.
He's
He's literally averaging 17 points per
He doesn't
game
even
and
take that
8
many shots. Who
assists.
gives a fuck? He literally has. Look how many assists he
But
averaged.
he's a borderline all-star. The Harden we all know and love is gone. He's not that superstar player anymore. He is playing a role now, and that's a point guard. And he doesn't care about being an all-star anymore. That's why the Clippers are winning. He will feed PG and Kawhi before he feeds himself. That's why I'm loving Harden on the Clippers now, because he is playing the right role and not trying to force anything. So I think he's a borderline all-star, but I don't think he's an all-star, like straight up all-star anymore. It's not gonna happen. I don't think he'll ever get chosen to be an all-star again, if we're being honest. Paul George now. Paul George you put in the all-star section. He's an all-star. Spencer Dinwiddie.
Also known as Spencer Dinwiddie.
Dinwiddie. I'm gonna go with role player for Spencer Dinwiddie. Wait, I saw something funny about Spencer Dinwiddie. Apparently, people, I don't know, I think it's maybe the Nets organization, they think that he is purposely playing bad so he could get traded. And then someone said, imagine being so bad that people think you're purposely trying to be bad. Tobias Harris. I think he's a very good starter, even though obviously he does have one of the worst contracts, but it's expiring, thank God. I still think he's a very good role player, and scoring wise, I think when he gets hot, it's hard to beat the Sixers. But also when the Sixers lose, he doesn't get any blame, which is funny, but he's still a very good starter, right, Mev?
No, what do you mean he doesn't get blamed? The Sixers fans hate his ass. Anthony Davis. Where are we gonna put you, Anthony Davis? He's a superstar, obviously.
Yeah, Anthony Davis is a superstar. This might be a hot take, but he is better than everyone in that borderline superstar. Especially at his best, he will drop 40 and 20. His defense is amazing. Like, we all praise Rudy Gobert, but Anthony Davis is literally like Rudy Gobert on steroids, because offensively, he will drop 40 points in his sleep and 20 rebounds. I know we call him Data Davis because some games he'll go crazy, some days he won't, but most of the times he will go crazy. And at his best, he is a superstar. And if we put LeBron there, we gotta put AD there, because I think AD is better than LeBron at this point in time. Jaylen Brown. We didn't add the players in this tier list. They already included. I'm pretty sure a lot of players are missing.
Who?
Like Derek White, Drew Holiday. If Derek White was here, we'd put him at borderline all-star. If Drew Holiday was here, we'd put him at borderline all-star. Do you think Jaylen Brown's an all-star or borderline all-star? Yeah, I'm gonna say Jaylen Brown's an all-star, even though I think he's like probably the worst all-star there. There might be other players missing, like Draymond Green, now that I realize isn't here. If Draymond Green was here, I'd put him by very good starter. Marcus Smart wasn't here, I'd put him by very good starter. There's just a lot of players. I mean, I guess they're not really that relevant, but if you were waiting to hear about someone and we didn't include them, let me know and I'll comment back to you saying where I would put them. Thank you guys for watching and subscribe to all of our
Thank
channels.
y'all.
At
Thank
Splash
y'all.
Sisters P on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. Thank you guys so much.